Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Autto's webinar. We're covering our partner program. We'll start in a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to join, so if you just bear with me. I'll just give people a minute or two to join, and then I'll start proceedings. Just wait a few more seconds. I can see people are joining right now. Okay, so let's get going, and good afternoon again to people who've just joined. I hope you had a great bank holiday, and looking forward to being back at work, be it in the office or at home. So my name's Wragg. I run channel sales at Autto. My background, I've run both a SaaS company and had partner programs there, and I've also founded and run 3 MSPs, including a Quad Gold Microsoft solution provider partner, and managed services companies and so on. So I've been at both sides of the equation. So the objective this afternoon is really just to give you enough information to whet your appetite, to encourage you to look in more detail, both at Autto as a product, but also at the partner program. And I think it's a good program, and really is worth a deep dive. So we're going to run for 30 minutes. About 20 minutes will be my presentation, and then at the end of that I'll do a 10-minute question and answer session. You can submit questions now in the top right hand corner of your screen, and I will address all of those at the end. So I encourage you to do that if I'm being confusing or not covered what you need to have covered. So we'll have a very quick look at why now is the time for workflow automation. Try and summarize what Autto actually is, because this class of products at first inspection seems to be very broad and very well served. That's not the case, but I'll try and explain why. I'll go through why it's a great opportunity to partner with us, and what the benefits are, what the program actually looks like, and then what the next steps are. So that's the basic agenda. So let's move on to why is automation, and specifically workflow automation, a hot subject right at the moment. Well, there's this is a quote from McKinsey, but you can find many analysts, Gartner and the like, who will say, increasing productivity through automation, is just hot and topical right now. And why is that? Well, it's several things. Yet again, it's the paperless office. We've been here for many years, decades. A lot about increasing data volumes and complexity of transactions, working from home, the increasing role of regulation and compliance. So I guess if you want to summarize all of those things, it's about digitization, to use the current buzzword. So it certainly is a technology and a business opportunity that has come of time. Now, what are the problems that our customers, and hopefully your customers in a way, are encountering? They really come into three categories. Basically, they've got too much to do. And the Autto solution here is really to attempt to increase productivity by automating fairly mundane routine tasks. Another one is, and this is becoming increasingly so in regulated businesses and for compliance reasons, about following a process. So following a process and accurately following a process, and importantly, recording the fact that the process has been adhered to, is a problem that we get played back to us on a regular basis. And people know that they've got to improve productivity, they've got to digitize, but they don't know how to start. It looks difficult. Well, Autto is probably one of the easiest ways to automate workflows. It's a so-called no-code product. And that helps not only in the speed of implementation, but it means that the business case for less frequently operated workflows becomes compelling. So in a nutshell, this is all about automating repetitive manual work. So what's our definition of workflow automation? Well, I'll bring up a few highlights here. So this is about automating routine business processes that I've just covered, but this is also about collecting information, doing calculations, conditional logic, to run through and execute a workflow. It's telling people when they need to do something. It's showing where a process is. And an area that Autto is strong on is creating documents on the fly from the workflow, from other data sources, getting people to sign it, be it internally or externally, and then storing the data, integrating the data across multiple systems. And the key thing here is that we're going a long way between forms. There's been many forms products around. So the difference here is we're running the process, we're integrating systems, and we're managing the workflows. Now, one area that you've probably heard quite a lot about is RPA, robotic process automation. And we are people-centric. So Autto is not an RPA tool. And we think for SMEs, it's not necessarily a great solution to their problems. It can be complex to implement. The technology is typically expensive. You can create unstable systems, or at least ones with a significant ongoing maintenance workload. So we don't think that's the best way to do it. It's a very active sector. I mean, UiPath, for example, I think recently did a $2 billion IPO in the US. So it's a hot technology, but we're very much aiming at automating human processes, for SMEs. So what are the use cases? So what are the problems that workflow automation is well suited to solve? And I'll just zoom that slide a little bit, so hopefully you can see it more clearly now. Because implementation times are fast, days or a week or two, that's a sort of from concept to going live, quite a large category of problems can be solved. And even routine processes, which might only be used dozens of times a year, are quite viable. So some examples, I mean, the classic ones are on staff or contractor onboarding. So it could be making sure they've gone through their security training, that they've got all the equipment they need, that the contract is signed, that they've, any NDAs have been signed and so on. So that's one class. Many issues to do with compliance. So in manufacturing, you may well have some form of defect control or quality control that part of the quality system must be seen to be following. Quotes are another good one. One of our standard demos is one for MSPs who are signing up support customers, and it essentially takes the services they want, the SLAs they want, produces all the documentation and gets them to sign up electronically. So there's some examples of where it can help SMEs, and it's a very, very wide class of products, problems, sorry. So I thought, just to give you a couple of minutes break from me talking, I'd show a little video to give you some feedback from a recent Autto user. And here we go. It's only lasts a couple of minutes. Okay, I had a couple of people tell me the video was muted there. I do apologise. It was certainly enabled here and I could hear it, but it was subtitled. So I hope you took some value from that all the same. So some other customer comments. So WI5, I think I've actually rebranded as Envy now. They are basically an app for food outlets, bars and so on, but it's a no download, no registration one to order food products, drinks and so on. And they use Autto when they sign up their customers to automate the production, all of the contracts and the legal documents. And they've certainly found that's really helped them. FinTrail, they are a financial services anti-fraud service, and they do sign-ups, customer sign-ups. So again, handle the front-end process to use their services. Let me just maximize this. So let's have a look at, this is just a snippet. This isn't a product demo today, but just to give you a flavor of Autto as a product. So a workflow is a series of linked actions, and you can see on the left-hand side of the screen mock-up a classic sort of flowchart arrangement. And each node on that is an action. And an action could be some logic, decision, essentially, an if statement, if you want. It can be more than that. Forms for data capture, web pages for information, which could be videos, standard operating procedures and so on, calculations. We can email. Now, some things which are important. One, if you've worked with workflow before, you need to persist the data, and we support easy to use data tables. They could be price codes, rate tables, those sorts of things, to allow the workflow to actually operate. And documents. We can quite easily produce PDFs, Word documents on the fly. So it's no code. So that really means it's quick to build applications. So I'm trying to make some comparisons. So Microsoft Power Automate is something that people come up to us and say, well, we've already got this. Power Automate essentially has two parts. There's an RPA bit, which is quite complicated, and a workflow bit, which is essentially SharePoint based. You can create a similar solution as you do in Auto, but the effort is considerably higher, and the ongoing maintenance is completely different. From personal experience, I know how stable some of the Microsoft solutions, certainly around SharePoint, can or can't be. Yes, it helps you do the same thing, takes you much longer, and the maintenance consequences typically are quite a lot longer. And then Microsoft go and change the pricing structure, and then that goes for a very interesting conversation with customers. So the essence is a drag and drop flow chart builder linking actions together. Now, it's really important with products of this class that you've got good integration. And we, out of the box, will integrate with things such as Slack, Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, and so on. Stripe for payments, EverSign, which is bundled for electronic signatures, Salesforce, and so on. And so we do this through RESTful interfaces. So things which have got a RESTful API, if we don't support them out of the box, typically you can build them using our, as simple as we can make it, API manager. And two other things which are worth highlighting. There's a lot of support for essentially single sign-on. So we support OAuth, so that's a way to get access to protected data without asking users to keep logging in with passwords. And SAML, which is essentially transfers identity between two parties. That includes integration with Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So integration is key, and one of the ways that partners can really add value is help their customers in this area. This is probably the most difficult part for end users to understand. So let's look at Autto. Why do we think it's good for SMEs? And I'll zoom this up so you can see it a little more clearly. So pricing. Autto's pricing is it's not based on users. It's essentially based on usage. It's very cost effective compared to some of the. So an enterprise product could be Nintex, for example, which is a pretty well known enterprise grade workflow automation system. But when you look at the prices, there's a clear difference there. Speed of implementation, typically 1 to 2 weeks. Implementation, of course, is more than just coding, or more than just no coding, I should say. At the end of the day, the process has to be understood and socialized into the company. Expertise, Autto is very much aimed at a business user, an end user who can think logically about the business process or has an intimate knowledge with it, not an IT person. And it's very much right size. So Autto is not particularly complex. It's complex enough to solve a meaningful number of problems. But when you look at it, there's not a lot of excess fat in there that starts to complicate things. So it's very much aimed at SMEs. We do have enterprise customers. They tend to be, departmental issues, departmental usage of Autto. Now, why is our partner proposition a good one? And why should you come on our program? And we think for MSPs especially, there's some really good reasons. The first one is it's a point of differentiation from your competitors. So for a lot of people who are selling fairly commoditized products, this can be a way to bring a bit more evidence of the value of the relationship. It's an easy way to get into high margin professional services. And a phone always goes when you don't want it. It doesn't, you can essentially as a partner handle the sales function and the implementation function with one person, maybe a little bit less, as long as they're suitably trained by us. And so there's an opportunity for professional services revenue, which are reasonably high margin, and of course annuity income through the monthly subscription. Fundamentally, we think this is a great way for people to improve the stickiness of partners to their customers. So if you have implemented implement and support key business processes, when it comes up for a retendering, you're definitely in a different position, in a different position than everyone else. Yeah, sorry, that's my father who I told not to interrupt me. I apologise. So Autto, we think it's very, very partner friendly. It's super friendly. Left column is what you receive, and the right column is what it costs you. So training, we will provide the material, the collateral for you to deliver end user training. That shouldn't require too much, by the way, but it's a service opportunity. Certainly workflow development, you're free to charge whatever revenue and fee rates that you believe are appropriate, which could include reselling existing workflows you've previously developed. Customer support, again, this is something that will fold quite easily into an existing support arrangement. We will provide you with second or third line support. We would expect you to be running the support desk and offering SLAs and so on. So we're very much looking for VARs, with the above three categories. The subscription fees to the end user, you're in charge of billing, so you'll see 100% of the fee revenue. And the way that we've structured it is that you then buy at a wholesale price, a discount from us against the list price, about a third discount. The other thing which makes us very different from other SaaS products and workflow products is there's no taper. So typically what will happen is that in year one you might get a 20% margin, in year two a 10, and in year three 5. We want you to work to keep customers. It's in all of our interests. So there's no annual taper. So you continue to receive the discount, purchase discount, for as long as the customer is live. We'll train you. In fact, we'll insist that we train you on sales and technical training. There's no charge for that. And we'll also give you an internal use license. So we'd like to think that you might even use this internally, and certainly it obviously provides you with a demonstration platform. Okay, so how to become a VAR. So the orange here is the stuff that we do, and the first thing we'd want to do is go through a case study with you in more detail, give you a product demo, and actually mess around with the workflow to see how easy it is to build and change one. So step one is give you a good product demo. It's important that we take a business focus on this. So we've got some tools to help you work through scenarios, cash flow scenarios, your costs, what's the sales opportunity. So let's size the opportunity in your base. Let's work that through, and is there really a business case to be had here? go and test it with one or two, loyal, long-standing customers and so on. The onboarding piece, we'll take you through our sales training. We've got a good amount of collateral to support you through that, technical training, and then we will ask you to build an in-house workflow, which could be your demonstration one. You have to pass that. We want to make sure you're confident using Autto and are confident in the sort of problems it's able to solve. Then off we go with a launch. Now we can help you on integrating Autto into your propositions. There could well be some the classic ways, through sort of maturity surveys, and how you get people up the maturity path to digitization. We'll certainly give you pre-sale support and post-sale support. I mean, if you've done a dozen implementations and we're still having to get deeply involved in every sale, then we might have a chat. But certainly we want to help you be successful through the process. Okay, so that brings me on to questions that have been raised. By the way, the QR code, if you have not connected with me on LinkedIn, if you've got the LinkedIn app on your phone, you can just scan that code and it should connect us on LinkedIn. So questions I've got. Oh, okay. So typically, how much effort does it take a new partner to complete sales, technical and other onboarding activities until we can be ready to sell? So I would say that the sales training is half a day. The technical training essentially amounts to about a day. The biggest part of that is then you implementing a demonstration stroke internal workflow and us critiquing it and reviewing it and looking at if it's gone well or not. So that's probably about a week to get into a stage where you are confident enough and have the tools to start selling. How long it takes to integrate it into your campaigns, propositions and so on, I don't know, but I guess it's going to take probably the same amount of time as well. So 1 to 2 weeks, I think, is what we would normally expect. More questions coming through. Another one. I know you release new features almost on a continuous basis. How much ongoing training could I anticipate after the initial onboarding, say over a year to stay current? Okay, yes, we do. Like all SaaS vendors, it's drip drip rather than big bang approach, and very much with backward compatibility. But it's important to stay current with these, and we are planning on short quarterly webinars to bring partners up to date, both from a sales perspective and a technical perspective. But these typically will be probably the duration of this webinar, so roughly half an hour, along with background support. Right, next one has come up. Next one. Let's say a deal requires Autto to be integrated with an application that you do not currently support. Would you do a custom integration for us? The answer is maybe, and it's purely going to come down to, is there well, if the customer is prepared to pay, then of course that's always a good sign about their level of commitment. If we think it's something that should be there in the product, then we'll take a view on it. We have done that in the past, so we're very much customer driven. So the answer is yes, within reason. Okay, so another one about common competitors. Who are the common competitors as resellers we might encounter? Quite a wide range, but the most common one is Microsoft Power Automate. We don't really view it as a competitor, but that comes up time and time again. We've got, I think we've probably got about 50 or 60 people in a competitor matrix with the reasons why we're different. Ones that come up, things like ServiceNow, but ServiceNow is really, it has got workflow in it, but ServiceNow is its core the core thing is around IT support, I suppose, rather than a general purpose way of doing automation. Sometimes some of the automation built off the back of CRM systems. Dynamic CRM is one. Again, they're really focused around the core functionality. Nintex comes up, but goes away pretty quick when people look at the prices. Yeah, so there. Got some. Another one on the competitors. If anyone's interested about specific competitors, I'm very happy to handle that on a one-to-one basis. Just looking at the time, I've realised I'm about 30 seconds over, and I know you're probably very busy having come back from the bank holiday weekend. I encourage you, please, to either connect on LinkedIn with me or message me or email me. My contact details, mark.wragg@auto.io, are on the screen now. I'm very happy to do a Zoom call to look at the product in more detail and to field your specific questions. So once again, thank you very much for joining. Your time is appreciated, and enjoy the rest of your week.